So we got Mark Wagner from Express Solutions Southwest.
Express Employment Professionals.
Express Employment Professionals Southwest.
Yeah.
Because I know there's other branches.
Yeah.
I learned that because we had Millie on,
Uh-huh.
and she did a fantastic job, but she wanted me to get you in here because, well, at the end of the day, you're the man, right? What's your position there?
I'm the owner.
The owner.
Uh-huh.
Nice. So what is, for those of us that don't know you and what you do, what is Express? What are you guys doing? What are you guys offering?
So we provide recruiting and staffing for clients that we have. A lot of the clients are in Southwest Austin, South and West Austin, but then we also fill a number of positions throughout Austin, throughout Texas, and nationally. We've got a number of positions that we're filling all over the country. And those are the types of positions that we fill are, we might fill direct hire positions where a person goes and starts working for them right away, or evaluation hire, or contract to hire, temporary, just a range of different types of placements, as well as a range of different types of positions.
Is there like a business in particular that you feel like you specialize in, or is it really just you do it all?
Yeah, we get that question all the time, and I would say we lean more toward doing it all. There's really not that many positions that we can't fill. And when people ask that, what I tell them is really what stays the same is our process, the way that we source people, the way that we interview, the way that we present, all of that, the way that we follow up. What changes is the job description and the skills that we're looking for, right?
Okay.
But as long as we have a good communication with the hiring manager and good feedback as we present candidates, it doesn't really make too much difference what the specific position is. It helps a little bit if you filled the position before, you can kind of speak the language a little bit more. But really, we are filling new positions all the time. To the degree that we have a little specialization, I would say we do a lot of accounting and bookkeeping. We focus mostly on office professional. My background prior to this was in science and engineering, and so we do a lot of those placements, particularly in the semiconductor area. That was my background before we opened up this, so we work with a number of semiconductor-related companies. But we're doing a lot of electronic assembly and things like that. So it's a pretty big range,
I remember you saying that you do a lot of the engineering stuff. We met 2 years ago. I
Right.
don't know if you remember, but yeah, I remember chatting with you then. And yeah, that's what you had made mention of, is that the engineering sector, just because of your background, not because it's anything you're better at than something else, but
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
background kind of helped with that.
It does. I can talk the talk a little bit more,
Mhm.
and honestly, it's something I enjoyed. Well, I enjoy all the placements that we do, but with something like that, it allows me to kind of keep my toes in the technical area a little bit. And one of the nicest things about that I've really enjoyed about having a business like this is one of the things that I enjoyed as a scientist was being curious. You're always learning new things,
Right.
and what I do now, we're also always learning new things, but it's about different types of companies, what people do for a living. I can't tell you the number of times I find out about a company and what they do, and I'm just amazed that, wow, I had no idea that people could actually make money doing that, right?
Right.
So it's I like learning stuff like that.
I gotcha. Yeah, I guess that's one of the next things I kind of wanted to parlay into in this particular position, to kind of dumb it down, recruiting for other companies,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
What kind of got you into that, and what is it that what about it keeps you going, keeps you doing it?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people have been out of work at some point, right? And it's always an uncomfortable position to be in.
Mhm.
And so the opportunity to help people like that is important. The opportunity to learn about what businesses do is something I enjoy. And the opportunity to help. I have a small business. It's a challenge for me to hire good people. I know it can be difficult for other people, for other businesses as well. And I know that for my own business, so many times the work that I'm doing for my business, helping other clients, takes precedence over trying to hire people for my own company, right?
Gotcha.
And I'm sure that's true with lots of other companies as well. So by using us, clients can focus on what they do, what their business is, whether it's real estate or mortgages or accounting
Title
or whatever it
companies,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
They can focus on that and allow us to do the hiring, because it's hiring is difficult, and it's not going to get any easier.
Yeah. Well, and I would envision, so for, I'm in a sales position, obviously, with the whole mortgage related stuff, and we deal with a lot of real estate agents and stuff like that that have, even been on the podcast, and you're ultimately doing sales as well. And
Yeah.
we always kind of like to touch on, for the audience out there that is kind of watching this, we intend it to be for entrepreneurial type of people. So is there anything currently that's working for you right now that you feel like, obviously in this particular market, that's helping you get new business?
I would say, obviously, referrals from current clients are
Mhm.
always good, and you get that by doing a good job.
Right.
And so that's always important. You had Millie on recently,
Yeah.
who's our salesperson. And the other thing that I think for us, I think Millie is great at her job. And one of the things that she's really good at is just establishing relationships with people.
Right.
And people are ultimately going to buy from people that they know and they like. And when we call a company or we knock on the door and we try and find out more about what their business is, maybe they have an opening then, but chances are that they don't. But what they might remember is, hey, I had that good interaction with that person. They told us, they found out about what we do. They told us what they do. When it's time to start hiring again, if I'm too busy to do it myself, or it's going to be too much of a burden for me, or I want to outsource it to somebody, they're the person that we're going to reach out to. So
Planting those early seeds.
exactly, and I think that for us, the sales cycle could be anything from, it could be within an hour. Like if a company calls us and says, hey, we need a bunch of people, or, and that happens really quickly. And it's a company that has heard about us through our good ratings on Yelp or Google or word of mouth from another client. But then there's other companies that we work with that we'll start talking to them, and it'll be a year and a half before we finally get a job order.
Right.
And that's fine. But again, our core purpose in our business is helping people and building businesses, and that's what we do. When businesses are ready to add people, we're there as a resource for them.
Yeah, I think that a lot of business owners find themselves in a position where when they're thinking about how do we generate new business, it's like maybe a business development rep is something worthwhile, worth hiring. And I think for a lot of business owners, that's a scary thing because it's long term. It's
Yep.
tough to track. But I've talked to a ton of people that not only work in that sector, but also employ people that are business development, and there's clearly something to it. That's why we were super happy to have Millie on, and one of the other business development reps I had was a business development rep for a title company.
Mm-hmm.
Where their sole source of employment really is to create those relationships,
Yeah.
maintain those relationships, and really be top of mind for if and when those companies decide they want to use someone like you.
Yeah.
I don't know if Millie's your first or if she's been, but
No, she's not the first one that
Okay.
we've had. We've had a series of them. We've been open 10 years, and so we've had a series of them. We had, up until COVID, we pretty much had one most of the time. And then COVID came, and a lot of the sales that we do is outside sales, knocking on doors, and so that wasn't we couldn't
Allowed?
we couldn't really do that during COVID.
Right.
And so, but it's Millie is, and I tell her this all the time. Probably the best salesperson that we've had. She doesn't know that yet, and she's not seeing the results because she's getting started.
Mm-hmm.
But just her work ethic, her ability to connect with people.
Well, she got you here,
Yeah, right.
right? I mean, she's a definite extrovert, and
yeah.
we'll be getting you in front of. I think some of the reels that we've done have reached over 10,000.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be able to get you in front of at
Yeah.
least 20, 30,000 eyeballs.
Yeah, and it's so for us, for our office, it is a real challenge to hire salespeople because if you're good at sales, you've got lots of opportunity, and they may tend to bounce around or
Yeah.
or jump into something different, and so with when I was looking for new salespeople, I started looking at people that were teachers, because I think that teachers have a lot of skills that, well, I just think that they're underpaid and they have all sorts of skills that
Right.
are unappreciated. And I think that so many teachers could be so effective in the workforce doing other things.
Hmm.
And in fact, we have 2 ex-teachers in our office now, and they're both fantastic.
I feel like I need to hire a teacher because I've always said the real estate process is amazing to me how you can watch grown adults act like babies. And and I
And a
don't
teacher would be handy to have around,
I
right?
think that a teacher
Yeah,
has already experienced that
yeah,
more than most.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that is. I've been literally saying that for years. I've never met, or excuse me, I've never seen a situation where yeah, you can just. I mean, you can watch like CEOs of companies just act like children
Uh-huh.
when, something happens. Like I'm gonna be homeless.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I
when I
can see that.
initially spoke to him, you know what he told me? I could buy this house in cash, right? And then something happens and he's going to be homeless.
Uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
I think a teacher could handle that. Those mood swings and tantrums.
Yeah, I'm a very big fan of, well, my oldest daughter is a teacher. My wife used to be a teacher, so I have a lot of appreciation for what they do, and how unappreciated they are in general, and the skills that they have and how hard they work.
Right.
And so, on the one hand, I feel badly about helping people move out of that profession because I think we need a whole bunch of good teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but on the other hand, if they're already looking to move to something else, I'm really happy to have them in my office. So,
Sure.
so it's it's been a great resource for us.
So to touch on them, just to circle back on the main point, then, those of you business owners out there that are, considering, do I get a salesperson? Is business development lucrative? I mean, we have someone here who's been in business for 10 years, who's, worked with a couple of salespeople. It sounds like you wouldn't keep doing it if it didn't work.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, I
Uh,
think that's encouraging, right? Again, the whole idea behind this and creating content, and I try to keep it very transparent. People want to troll, right? They want to go online, they want to look at videos, they want to look at short clips, and they want to see, what's this guy doing? What's that guy doing? They
mhm.
want validation.
Yeah.
And again, gearing this towards people who are self-employed, whether it's in real estate or just in any sort of business, I think that's a question that goes through a lot of people's heads. Like, is it valuable for me to get somebody out there that's going to,
Yeah.
pound pavement,
Yeah.
create a name and all of
Yeah.
that, and,
Yep.
kind of create a buzz in hopes that in, maybe the near future, but in reality, more like the distant future,
Yeah.
it pays off.
Yeah. It's a challenge with. So I've had good salespeople and some that were not so good.
Hmm.
And when you have a good one, it's really highly impactful for your business in a good way. When you have a bad one, it's a waste of time and money.
Yeah.
And I think you can probably tell that pretty soon, right?
Well, that was going to be my next question. I mean, as
Yeah.
somebody who does staffing and kind of
Mhm.
has to have a read on that,
Yep.
what's that timeline look like? I'm sure it's a case by case, but
Yeah. I mean, really within 3 months,
hmm
probably sometimes quite a bit less than that. But at the end of the day, I'm a lot like other business owners. You commit to somebody, you hire somebody, and you're like, oh, well, they're not so great, but, I'm going to train them how to do better, or,
guilty.
because you invest this time to
Sure.
train them,
Well, and you don't like to be wrong.
and you don't like to be wrong, and then you keep hoping, and you hang on to the good things that they do, and you try to ignore all the stuff that they're not doing,
Right.
and but at the end of the day, especially if you've had some good ones in the past that you can compare to, you're like, well, this person's not, meeting the standard.
Right. I feel that way about my dogs. I'm on like my fourth one, 3 of them have passed at this point, and I'm
Uh-huh.
always comparing all of them to each other. Like, oh, I really like my current dog, but man, I remember my second one,
Oh, that's so funny.
Major,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
RIP. So outside of hiring,
Uh-huh.
right? What's kind of the major pain point for you right now? What are you kind of running into that if you could kind of almost make a public service announcement, whether it be to your potential candidates that you're looking to help hire, or even the people who you're hiring for, what's the public service announcement to them? Like, hey guys, here's what we're running into. You want to make this an easier process?
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Ooh,
Insert
boy,
your response.
there's a lot I could stay here.
Hey, go for it.
I'll start with the clients, I guess, that whenever we meet with a client, we have this conversation up front that, hey, we're going to be sending you candidates, and we really need to get feedback quickly, because if we don't get feedback quickly, bad things are going to happen. When I
Hmm.
say bad things, it's going to be that that candidate's not going to be available before anymore. They're going to get a job with somebody else. And I also tell them that we're working on multiple jobs, and the clients, we are most responsive to the clients that are most responsive to us, right? So if we send over a candidate with a resume and a write up, and the client gets back with us within a half hour, an hour, with feedback, and hopefully it's good feedback, but maybe it's bad feedback. Even if it's bad feedback, okay, well, I don't want to look in that area anymore. I'm going to look in this area, right?
Right.
And so that keeps momentum going. Versus if we send somebody over and we don't hear something for 3 or 4 days, we're on to other stuff, And when they finally do call back, um, that candidate may not be available for. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to fill jobs for our clients, and the jobs that we can fill most easily and we're most effective at filling are the ones where the clients are being responsive to us. And so I understand that clients are coming to us because they're busy, and it can be a challenge to stop everything that you're doing and look at this resume and look at it carefully enough to write up some feedback, a couple of whatever bullet points or whatever.
Yeah.
But it requires the conversation I have goes something like, "Hey, look, we need a small investment of your time in order to do the stuff that we need to do. You've asked us to help you. We can only help you if you invest that small amount of time."
So let me really quickly stop you just to unpack this to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, and then to kind of keep it simple for people who might be listening. When you're talking about the feedback on the client, is this somebody that you have provided a resume and information on,
Yeah.
or is this somebody that they've interviewed and you're waiting to hear back?
Oh, it could be either. It could
Okay.
be at either step, right? So typically our process is, we get a job order, we screen through resumes and candidates, we start talking to people,
Hmm.
we select 2 or 3 that are the best of the group that we've spoken to, maybe only one at a time, who knows, depending on the type of position. We send them over there and say, "Hey, here is a write up for, Joe, Bob, and Sally, and here's their resumes. Let me know what you think." And so then we wait for feedback from the client on, I like Joe for this reason and Bob for
Okay.
this reason and Sally for this reason, or maybe I don't like Joe and Bob and Sally is good for this, or whatever it is.
Do you ever
Um,
run into instances with businesses where, they really just want to put it all in your hands and ultimately say, like, I don't even really want to read the majority of
mhm.
these resumes. I want
Yeah.
you to send somebody
Yep.
for the interview. I'm not messing around with resumes or anything like that. Is that an opportunity that you guys offer?
Yeah, absolutely. We typically see that with companies that we've been working with for a while, right? On
Okay.
positions that we've been filling for a while, because once we've done that for a while, we have a pretty good sense of what they're looking for.
Hmm.
But honestly, even for some of the lower end positions that we fill, when I say lower end, just lower wage
Sure.
positions, where we're hiring higher volumes, even then, the clients, they still want to talk to them at least by phone or something like that a lot of the times, which I completely understand. I mean, if
Hmm.
it was my business, wouldn't necessarily want people I haven't known before walking in the door, right?
Gotcha.
Or spoken to before. So, um, but it is, we like to do that obviously because it's easier on us. It's a lot less friction in the process, but it doesn't happen too often because at the end of the day, business owners want to talk to the person that's going to be working next to them.
Now, do you have people who come to you directly who are seeking employment, or is it typically the other way around where you're finding businesses that are seeking someone to employ and then you're kind of going out and
Yeah, both.
both?
Yeah, so we
Would you say that's 50-50, 60-40? I mean, we're not going to hold your feet to the fire,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. I guess we do have a number of people calling the office or even stopping by the office saying, "Hey, what sort of jobs do you have?" We get that. We probably we see a lot of that every week,
mhm.
and then we see a lot of people that are replying to the job posts that we put up,
Okay.
or maybe people in our network that we reach out to, or people in our network that reach out to people in their network that come to us. Um, and then the other way that we find candidates is sourcing what we call passive candidates. So these are candidates that they may have their resume on Indeed, or they may have a profile on LinkedIn, and will say, "Hey, this person has the qualifications for the position. We're going to reach out to them." And so
Mhm.
we send them a message, and sometimes they get back to us and say, "Yeah, I'm interested to hear about the opportunity." And for a lot of the positions that we fill, especially some of the higher end specialized positions, that's how it works. For some of the, particularly some of the engineering positions that have some pretty specific skill sets, we won't even really do a job post because the chance of
Right.
having the right person send in a resume is very, very small. It's much easier and more efficient to look at people that are out there and send out some messages and find out who's available and interested, and then start conversations that way.
I got you. So we've covered the pain point of the businesses kind of needing to be a little more involved in terms of the feedback. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like having a personal trainer, but then if you don't show up,
Yeah.
you're not going to see results, right? So
Right.
it's like,
Right.
I'm going to
Right.
hire this personal trainer to help produce results in the gym, but then I'm going to always be late, or
Yeah.
I'm not going to show up. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then you're going to wonder, well, why are we
Why?
not producing the results? And it's like, well, you're
You
not
need to
doing
actually, just
right.
paying me the money is not actually going to make you in better
Right.
shape.
So yeah, there's the public service announcement. Just paying Express the money to find you a candidate is not going to achieve the very best results. So you
Right.
need to be involved.
Right. Well, and they don't. I mean, they don't pay us any money until they hire one of our people, right?
Okay.
So it's not, so it's not quite analogous to a personal trainer, because personal trainer is going to get paid whether you show up or not, right?
Gotcha.
For us, we only bill people when they hire our person.
Well,
So,
and that's good information to know, because I know a lot of people, and that was one of the things that I was going to get into, is like, I know a lot of people kind of have an idea of what it is that you guys are offering, but I think that there's a lot of people out there, and this is what I love about this platform, and it gives people an opportunity to troll a little bit.
uh-huh.
I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, I could totally use this service, but I don't know. I don't know if I can afford it.
Mhm.
What's it going to cost? Is it worth it? I could hire these people on my own if I just do the work. And so, what would you say to somebody that is maybe hesitant or even scared to reach out to a company like yourself for staffing? What would you say to somebody like that in respect to how it could be beneficial to them and
Yeah.
what all that looks like?
Yes, that's a great question. So one of the things that we try and emphasize to companies that we talk to is that, look, you can try and hire on your own. You can even use other agencies, but we'd like the opportunity to help as well. And it costs them nothing. The only time they ever have to spend money with us is if they interview our candidate and say, yeah, this is the best one that we have. This is the person I want on my team. Now now we need to get paid.
And by contacting you, I mean, it's not like they're agreeing to be stuck with you, right?
No,
I want to touch on what you just made mention of, that they can work with other staffing agencies
100%.
as well.
Yep. What we get asked that a fair amount from our clients. Are you guys, do you guys require exclusivity or anything like that? And we never do. Because I tell them, I will start asking for exclusivity when I can 100% guarantee that we can find you the exact candidate that you need in the exact timeline that you need. And I'm never going to be able to do that.
Right.
I just won't. But a lot of the companies that we work with, I'd rather kind of, put our money where our mouth is, let our results speak for themselves. And a lot of the companies that we've been working with for a long time that started with us and other agencies don't really use other agencies anymore, because it's more of a hassle for them to deal with multiple agencies, and they know that we produce the results that they need.
Gotcha.
And so they just wind up working with us, and that's really kind of how I'd like to have the relationship develop.
I gotcha. And so going back to pain points, we covered the pain point of having the employers be involved. Are there any other pain points you run into on a regular basis that we can touch on that
now
would
I'll
make
give
your
you
life
one
easier?
for the candidates.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, we could talk. Well, I guess I would say for the candidates, just to be transparent with us, right? If you've got other opportunities, or tell us that. I mean, I don't have any problem with, if a candidate says, look, I know that I was going to go on that interview, but I got this other job and now I can't go on that interview. Or, let us know about what your timeline is in terms of, if you have other offers, how quickly do we need to move our interview process forward so that you can compare these two offers, right? I think that sometimes people are just afraid that there's going to be some sort of conflict or something like that.
Right.
And they'd rather, it's easier for them to just stop returning phone calls, or just, go away. And I mean,
Well, hopefully they see this and we can slow that down.
I hope
Like I
so.
said, that's what
Yeah,
a lot of this is designed to do. It's,
yeah,
designed to get the
yeah,
information out there without people having to reach directly out to you.
yeah. So, so that would be helpful. And yeah, I guess the other thing I would say for people that are looking for work, I could talk a lot about resumes and things like that. I'm not sure how much interest there is in that, but I've seen a lot of resumes, and so I have some pretty.
What are the bullet points? I mean, I think that's an interesting topic for some people. And let's keep it real. You wanted to mention transparency. I mean, there's talk of recession. So there might be more
Yeah, yeah,
people out
yeah,
of work,
yeah,
sooner than later. And by the
yeah,
time this gets out,
yeah.
you,
I hope not,
this
but
might be gold.
yeah. Oh, I think keeping your resume short, no more than 2 pages. Do not put a lot of filler stuff on there. Make the stuff that you put in your resume impactful. Don't put fluff words in there that, if you put under your skills that you're, motivated or, a hard worker or a good teammate, nobody's going to look at a resume and say, "Oh, we got somebody here who's motivated. We should call that person. Or this person's
Right.
a good teammate," right? I
Sure.
mean, it's those are table stakes. Everybody's going to say stuff like that,
Right.
right? So stuff like that just fills up the resume with stuff that people don't really need to read. This is your resume is your first opportunity to present yourself to somebody that might hire you. And so it should be impactful and concise and effective and efficient. Um, so yeah, that's
So that is going to put us into a great segue into one of the things that I talk about with certain types of businesses, yours being one of them. How are you guys utilizing AI,
yeah.
and how is it impacting you, whether that is negatively or positively? Because we talked about resumes, and I'm thinking like, I'll bet a lot of people are plugging their resume into ChatGPT,
Yeah,
and why not?
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
and so as an individual who sees more resumes than probably 99% of the people out there,
Uh-huh.
are you seeing better resumes for people who are doing that? Are you able to kind of go, wait a second, this looks like AI wrote this? And
You know,
how's it affecting your business?
um, I can't say that I see a noticeable effect on the resumes I'm seeing, although I could see that coming.
Hmm.
I guess, and honestly, I would welcome the change because my gosh, there are a lot of just bad grammar and stuff on, and I mean, if somebody does their resume using ChatGPT, great. I mean, it's if it can make it a better resume and
Well, people
present
pay
and
people to write their resumes all the time as long as it's
exactly
not untrue.
right,
Who
and it
cares if a computer does it or if a
exactly.
professional does it?
I mean, it's way more efficient for ChatGPT. I mean, it's not good for the people that write resumes,
Right.
but there's a lot of room for optimization in resumes, and if ChatGPT can help you do it, then great.
Hmm.
I'm not going to, if somebody gives me a resume and I know it's from ChatGPT, and I'm not sure how I would know that, but if I did, and I have somebody that wrote it themselves, I don't really care. Like I said, I'm
Sure.
just interested in what the content is and how it's presented, and
Yeah.
really mostly what the content is. Um, as far as how we use ChatGPT in our office or AI, we we've tried using it to help us with coming up with job posts and social media posts and things like that. Um, we're still trying to figure out the best way to do it. I mean, I've read some articles about how it's going to impact recruiting, and I will say that our experience as a business owner of a recruiting firm,
Yeah.
I've been approached a lot by, hey, you know, use our tool to help find candidates. It's AI powered, and it's going to allow you to do all this stuff. And my experience with those tools are that they are crap. They
Right.
do not work. It's yeah, not work very well at all.
I would envision, I mean, I ran into a situation actually just yesterday where there was a business owner that I can totally tell that the like AI assistant was trying to set an appointment with me to come on this podcast.
Uh-huh.
And without going through all of the details, long story short, the time they set an appointment on my calendar, everything was, as it normally goes, and the individual didn't show up. And I
Wow. Really?
reached out and I said, "Hey, where are you? We had an appointment at,
Uh-huh.
4 o'clock." And it was like, "Oh, there must have been miscommunication." And I can tell you right now, I'm 99% sure it was all through like an AI virtual assistant.
Uh-huh. And so he had no idea. It was just
Right.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That's an interesting story.
So it didn't play out the way. And I think especially with something as important as a career that you're trying to, be in, I think we're a long ways away from, AI replacing a staffing agency, especially for, as you put it, like higher level,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. It's just, um, I think it ultimately will be a useful tool for us. Um, I don't think that it would really ever replace recruiting for, especially for more of the specialized positions, um, because it's again, I look at resumes a lot,
Mhm.
and it takes me a while to go through a resume, and I'm on the fence with a lot of them. Well, this is good or that's good, or I like the candidate for this reason, but not so much for this reason. Um, and some of those can be a pretty difficult decision for me, and I think it would take a long time to train an AI based tool to do something like that, and then it would be different for every single job. So somebody comes up with that, they're going to have a pretty good product on their hand. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a topic of conversation with almost every business that I bring in here because, at the end of the day, people are either utilizing it for things that are, I mean, it's been great for everything I do with this podcast. A lot of what I do utilizes AI to create the clips, to
Mm.
edit the software. I mean, we're running everything with multiple cameras, and there's even a software that will change all the camera angles for when I'm speaking versus when you're speaking. I
Huh.
mean, you'll see the finished product, but it's
Yeah.
all done through artificial intelligence. But then at the same time, in my businesses, in regards to mortgages, I mean, they've been saying this, companies like Rocket Mortgage, who was previously Quicken Loans,
Yeah.
the whole idea was that we were supposed to be replaced by computers, gosh, probably 15 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we just find that, the well, for starters, buyers can tend to be liars,
Yeah.
and you
And then
can
just,
you can trick AI.
yeah. And it's,
But
you're
people like,
buying, I mean,
yeah,
I
people
think
like
there's a
to deal
market
with it.
for that, obviously, right? I mean,
Right.
Rocket Mortgage has made a lot of money, right? There's a
Sure.
market for it, but I think that there's always going to be a market for people that don't want to do that, that just want to talk to I mean, you're buying a house, right? It's a pretty big purchase. You kind of want somebody that you can talk to and that can help you, and so I think there's a lot of analogies to that in staffing, where AI may an AI-based recruiting tool might be helpful with a case where, hey, we need housekeeping staff at a hotel, 40 people.
Right.
Send me a bunch of resumes for people like that. Where the skill set is not specialized. It's a pretty general type job placement. AI might be helpful and make things more efficient for that. So I think there's a market for it, but I think that it'll be a long time before it takes over all the stuff that we would do, I think.
I agree. I agree. So what's next with you and Express? I mean, is Express like a franchise,
It
or
is, yeah.
because you're Southwest, so
Yep,
you own this particular one, and
yep.
then do you own any other branches outside of the Southwest one?
I do not. No, there's another one in South Austin, just a couple of miles east of where we are, and then there's one in North Austin. There's one in New Braunfels, Round Rock. So there's a lot of Express offices in Texas.
So what's next for you personally with Express in regards to your own personal growth? I mean, is there anything you aspire to do, or are you just trying to kind of, you've got it going and you want to keep it running? What does that look like for you?
Well, I'm really excited about the team that we have now, and so I'm excited what the rest of this year is going to bring, and next year. A couple of specific things, I guess, because I have such a good team, it is allowing me to delegate more stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which for other business owners, I'm sure, like yourself, can always be a challenge,
Sure.
right? So
It's tough to give up control.
it really is. It really is. So, but it helps when you have a really good team,
Yeah.
and I've tried to do a good job of training them, and initially, and then continuing to do that. But specifically in terms of things that we're going to do going forward, as I said, I have a lot of background in semiconductor industry, and
Well, we've got a big plant, right? I mean,
there's a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, they passed this CHIPS Act, the government did, and there's billions of dollars going into semiconductor industry for new wafer fabs and things like that. And when you read about some of the biggest challenges there is they can build these fabs and they can, put a whole bunch of really fancy, expensive equipment in there, but they need people to operate that equipment. And there's a lot of reasons why that's going to be a real challenge, starting with demographics and immigration policy and just STEM learning in schools. There's a lot of reasons that that's going to be a challenge. And so I think that's an opportunity for our office to help fill some of those positions.
well, I hear that semiconductors is like the next resource, like worth fighting over almost. I mean, it's kind of scary.
I mean, I think that the disruption in chip supply that happened during COVID opened up a lot of eyes to, hey, we don't like the insecurity, the fact that we need to rely on countries that are not
don't like to be handcuffed.
Yeah, right, exactly. That we want to bring all of that stuff into the U.S., and that was a big motivation for this CHIPS Act to pass. And so a lot of those companies that maybe previously were building their wafer manufacturing facilities, their wafer fabs outside the U.S. are now building them inside the U.S. because they have a lot of incentives to do that and a lot of money from the government to help them with that. But then even companies that only had facilities, like foreign companies that only had facilities outside the U.S. are now being persuaded to build facilities here. And so it's a big opportunity for the semiconductor industry, and I think for us specifically with our background in knowledge in the semiconductor industry that there's a good opportunity for us. And so a lot of the placements that we do outside of Austin are in that area, and I can see that continuing to grow.
Well, I can see with the whole semiconductor situation with your background, and then obviously it coupled with, as we made mention here, following economics left and right. I hope I'm wrong, but it looks like there's going to be, some layoffs coming, and people will probably be looking to you to help them find, placement.
Yeah. It's, I hope not. I think that going back to the beginning of the year, I think that people thought the job situation would be worse than what it is. And inflation.
It might just not be here yet.
Maybe not. But inflation has come down quite a bit from where we were, and without the real high inflation that some people thought might have to accompany that. And so I think, again, I think...
Fingers crossed, soft landing.
Yeah, that's what everybody's hoping for.
Right.
And I think that for some of the reasons I mentioned before, demographics and things like that, it's going to be a challenge to hire good people for a long time, even if inflation does tick up a little bit, that there's a lot of people retiring from the workforce and less people coming in. And companies are still growing, and for the most part. And so it's, I think that for a while, post-COVID, that companies thought that it would go back to normal, right? Whatever normal is in terms of hiring, that it was super difficult for a while, and then it was going to go back to normal. But I think that it's going to be a candidate-driven market for a while. I think maybe not like it was in 2021, where people were asking for ridiculous salaries. I think that's certainly
that has passed.
I think so, but I think it's still. I was reading an article today about looking back a year ago, small business owners, what their main concern was versus now. And a year ago it was inflation. Now it's back to being hiring the right people. And so I can see that that's likely to continue.
Well, what else do we need to know about Express? Can you believe we're 50 minutes in?
Oh my gosh,
time flies, right?
Went quick.
You're having fun.
Yeah, we come visit our office. We're on William Cannon. We do good work. We have good people. I'm proud and excited and happy to go into work every day with the people that we have. And I think that that's what makes us better. That's what kind of distinguishes us from other agencies, is the quality of the people that we have, the service that we provide. And I like a, that I know that sounds really salesy, and that's not really in my nature. But I just, if you look at our reviews and you talk to clients that we work with, I think that that's what they would tell you.
Yeah, no, that was what I was gonna say is, most people, salespeople especially, I try to refer people to the reviews and past clients because who really says bad things about themselves, whether it's
Exactly.
true or not. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
well, we'll wrap it up what I always do, and you kind of touched on a little bit of it already, but we want to get like a final clip for you. I tell everybody to go ahead and take a look in the camera, give us your 30-second elevator pitch. Don't look at me because that's what everybody does. Look in
Uh,
the camera, and then we'll cut it, man, so that we've got a little clip for you in the end.
okay. All right. Well, if you're ready to hire somebody, I know how difficult it can be, and we're ready to help you do that, make it a lot easier for you. And if you're looking for work and you want to work with great companies, come speak to us because we've got some great jobs to put you in.
There it is. Mark Wagner, Express
All right.
Employment.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. It's
Thanks,
been great.
brother.
Yeah. Take care.